Welcome to Saxon Math, Course Book 2, Lesson 84. Objective 84.1. Collect like terms in an algebraic expression. We're going to be looking at some different types of polynomials. One example of a polynomial is a monomial. A monomial will always have one term, knowing mono means one. An example of this is negative 2x. The next one is known as a binomial. Bi means two, which it'll have two terms. An example of a binomial is a squared minus 4b squared. As you can see, it is separated with a addition or subtraction sign. The third type of polynomial that we will talk about in this lesson is called a trinomial. We know that tri means three, so therefore it'll have three terms. An example of a trinomial is 3x squared minus x minus 4. Some additional words that we're going to talk about is the word terms. Terms, numbers, and variables. Terms, some examples are 3x squared, negative x, and negative 4. All of those are example of terms. We will refer to as numbers. Numbers, positive 3, negative 1, and negative 4. A variable, which we know is another name for a letter, x squared, x, or none at all. Let's look at this example. How do we simplify this? 3x plus 3 minus 1. We know that 3x is by itself, and we know that positive 3 and negative 1 are the same because they are just numbers. So therefore they can be combined. So we will carry over the 3x, and then we know we have a positive 3 and a negative 1. We know that the signs are different, so we subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. So therefore, we will do 3 minus 1, which is 2. And we know that the absolute value of positive 3 is greater. So therefore, we will have a positive 2. Next, negative 3xy squared plus xy squared. We see that our letters xy squared and xy squared are the same. So these two can be combined. We know if there is no number in front of a letter, that we will put the number 1. We see that we have a negative 3 and a positive 1. The signs are different, so we will subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. 3 minus 1 is 2. Therefore, we know that the absolute value of negative 3 is greater, so we will have a negative 2 xy squared. Example 1. Use the commutative and associative properties to collect like terms in this algebraic expression. 3x plus y plus x minus y. Always remember, if there is no number in front of a letter, there's always the number 1. Next, we will rearrange this to put all like terms next to each other. We know that 3x and a positive 1x will go together because they both have x's. Next, we know that positive 1y and a negative 1y will go together. So we will arrange those. 3x plus 1x, positive 1y, and a negative 1y. Again, we'll go ahead and put those numbers in front of there so that you know that there's always a number there of 1 if there is no number listed. So we will have 3x plus 1x, and a positive 1y and a negative 1y. I'm going to go ahead and put those ones in there just to remind us. We know we have a positive 3 and a positive 1. When the signs are the same, we add and keep the signs the same. So 3 plus 1 is 4. So we have a positive 4x. Next, we have a positive 1 and a negative 1. We see that the signs are different, so we subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. 1 minus 1 is 0. So therefore, we end up with 0 y's. To simplify 4x plus 0, it simplifies to 4x. Example 2. Collect like terms in this algebraic expression. 3x plus 2x squared plus 4 plus 1x squared minus 1x minus 1. So again, we will collect like terms. We see that 3x, so we have to find all terms that have just an x. This has x squared, so that cannot be combined with it. But we see that we have a negative 1x here. Next, we were going to take the positive 2x squared, so we need to find all terms that have an x squared. We see that there's a positive 1x squared here. And last but not least, we have just the number positive 4 without any letters. And then we have a negative 1. Again, we will go ahead, we'll start with positive 2x squared and a positive 1x squared. Next, we'll follow just x's by themselves, so we have a positive 3x and a negative 1x, followed by positive 4 and negative 1. Okay, we're going to go ahead and write those ones in when there is no number there, just to remind us. So we have, we will group together 2x squared plus 1x squared. We will group together 3x minus 1x and a positive 4 and a negative 1. We will use the rules for addition and subtraction of integers. We'll go ahead and place those ones back in place. We have a positive 2 and a positive 1. We know when the signs are the same, we will add and keep the signs the same. 2 plus 1 is 3. And then we just follow with the letters. 3x squared. We have a positive 3 and a negative 1. We know the signs are different, so we'll subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. 3 minus 1 is 2. We know the absolute value of 3 is greatest, so it'll be a positive 2x. Plus a positive 3 minus 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. So to simplify this expression, it is 3x squared plus 2x plus 3. Please complete lesson practice for lesson 84.